I'm here, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Madison.
Recording in progress.
Mayor and council, we are live.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Pasadena City Council. We'll start with the calling of the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Cole is not in the room yet. Councilmember Hampton has not joined the meeting yet. He's going to join for just cause reason to announce. Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Lyon?
Here.
Councilmember Madison?
Here.
Councilmember Masuda?
Here.
Vice Mayor Rivas?
Here.
Mayor Gordo?
Here.
There's a quorum of the council present.
Okay, Ms. Rivas, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll take item 3 first.
In the interest of time, we are going to take the agenda out of order and take item 3 up first, given the level of public interest. So we will jump right into item 3. Okay, I'll turn it over to the city manager, Mr. Hawksworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members. We are coming back this evening seeking council's actions to adopt the resolutions and other required documents to place a parcel tax on the ballot for November. There we go. We've shared this slide before. The only thing that we did add is it was asked what were our final deadlines relating to putting something on the ballot and if we had to make a change. So we just wanted to share that this week, August 7th, is the last day to place a measure on the ballot, and August 12th is the last day to amend or withdraw the measure. I'm not going to read this. This is the ballot question. This is the same ballot question that we shared in the staff report. I will highlight that this provides for an annual levy of 19 cents per square foot of improved property. That is a level 19%. 19 cents. Sorry, there is no escalator. And then we took council's comments from the last meeting, and the provision does include incomes for low-income seniors and others that mirror the language in the code currently for the exemptions of the library parcel tax. And that's what this slide does. It's these two sections. And again, these are the same sections that are in the library parcel tax, so it would mirror those. We do want to point out that in the proposed ordinance that would be approved by voters, there is one correction. The draft that was in the staff report, it starts with in the first fiscal year, and it should have said for each fiscal year. So that's one change that we wanted to point out if the council moves forward with the staff recommendation. And then the financial model. So the proposed parcel tax structure, we reviewed a number of different scenarios across the board, lower amounts, higher amounts, with inflationary growth, without that. And here's what we have landed on. 19 cents per square foot of improved property. We're proposing that it's assessed annually until ended by voters. By doing this methodology, it does meet the current strategic plan goals for the 10-year for both operations and capital. This financing mechanism would fund the capital on a pay-as-you-go method. We could certainly issue debt and accelerate that, but we wanted to make sure that this methodology worked for either, and it does. And then we believe that this financing mechanism will provide viable operational revenue for approximately at least 15 years. And then we would certainly have to evaluate it in the future based on what the growth is based on developed property and whatnot over the years. So here's a couple graphs to show the spend. And so this first graph, the first chart's on the left, first 5 years, second 5 years, third 5 years, what it looks like. So you can see that a significant amount of capital gets done in the first 10 years. And then as the capital ramps down, the operational costs ramp up and take over what the revenue is covering each year. And then on the right side, this graph shows how a pay-as-you-go model, we would build up fund balance and then appropriate that money to do the various capital projects. And I'll flip to the next slide, which will show how that timing is. So of course, weed abatement, brush clearance, that kind of stuff would happen every year going forward. The lower ones in the red highlight the capital projects. And so under this proposal and working with the fire chief, we looked at facilitating the training center first with the hope of construction that would be at the start of probably year 2. Station 33 we rebuild ideally would start at year 3. Station 37 would, the ideal part would be to start reconstruction of 37 as soon as 33's was done, because in talking to the chief, it would probably be challenging to have 2 stations fully under renovation at the same time, so we do them consecutively. And then in this model, as a pay-as-you-go, the ninth station, the new ninth station would be done after 37's is rebuilt. Of course, if we explored issuing debt and doing it through a debt issuance, we could likely accelerate the ninth station earlier in the process, but this is what it would look like as a pay-as-you-go. And then as I noted in the prior schedules, by using pay-as-you-go and doing this methodology, we would need to ramp up the operational for the additional rescue ambulances, fire suppression company, and ladder truck toward the later end, starting from year 6 through year 10. And then the last one here is, so the proposed partial tax structure, it would be $304 on a 1,600 square foot. We were asked last week if there's any way to come up with an average of what somebody might pay in town. So we did look at some various things, and we were able to come up with the one at the bottom, which is a single-family residential home with assessed value of about $750,000. Their current property projected annual tax is around $9,600 if you included this $304 assessment into their property tax. Oh, sorry, before you include this $304 assessment in their property tax. So with that, we will answer questions or proceed from there.
And before we get in trouble with the fire marshal, if we could have some of you guys that are in front of the exits, there's a few seats, like I just would like to clear the doors to make sure that we could get anybody out. I just don't want the fire marshal to close us down.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
We have 12 public comments on this item.
Okay, we have 12 public comments, and the clerk will call out names. If you hear your name, please form a line in the center aisle.
You want to do that first?
Yeah, let's hear from the public first.
Carlos Javiera, followed by Lee Wallace, then Jackie English, then Ida Demejian, Chen Vu, David Kissinger, Christian Miller, Rafi Bachachian, Jesus Rojas, Claire Bryan, Adam Bray Ali, and Christina Terrazas. Those are the cards that I have. I'm sure we'll get a couple more. 2 minutes, Mayor?
Yes.
2 minutes. And I'll ring a bell when you have 30 seconds left. So when you hear the bell, it's 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Carlos Javiera, president of West Pasadena Residents Association, and representing WPRA Viewpoints on the Pasadena Fire Department's 10-year operational and organizational plan. As we've seen with the Eaton conflagration, fire can obliterate a community. The Pasadena Fire Department has delivered a plan that mitigates fire danger while also improving fire suppression capabilities, and the WPRA supports it. This plan would improve emergency response times, address environmental change and growing wildfire risk locally, develop a long-term plan to address critical infrastructure needs for fire stations, improve operational efficiency and community safety, fund a comprehensive vegetation management program. The WPRA supports the fire department's continued research into thermal imaging technology as part of the city's early warning strategy for wildfires. As we saw with the Eaton Fire and the Palisades Fire, wind-driven wildfires can move faster than traditional detection systems can keep pace with. No technology can guarantee prevention under those conditions, but earlier detection can shorten the gap between ignition and fire response. And in a fast-moving fire, minutes matter. We can't put a price on what we could lose if we don't act now. Fire doesn't wait for budgets to catch up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I would just ask for Councilmember Hampton to, since you've joined the meeting, if you could announce your just cause accommodation request.
Yes, I am participating in the meeting under just cause provisions for child care purposes. And I guess, is there anything else I'm supposed to add?
No one.
Is there anyone under the age of
No,
18?
no, sorry. No
Or
one
over the age of 18, sorry.
No one over the age of 18 here with me in this room.
Okay. Thank you. And then the, sorry. And the next speaker is Lee Wallace.
Mayor Gordo and members of the City Council, my name is Lee Wallace, representing West Pasadena Residents Association. I'm also here to support the Fire Department's expansion plan, and if you approve a vote on this with parcel tax, I will be voting for it, even though I will be paying a lot more than what you saw up there on the screen. If we do not modernize and make our fire department even more effective, home and business fire insurance costs are very likely to increase. And for some homes and businesses, they may face cancellation and having to obtain lower quality insurance coverage at higher rates. WPRA has devoted a lot of time and effort to research and educate our residents about what our high wildfire risk status means in terms of getting and keeping affordable home insurance. Insurance companies determine whether or not to insure a home based on two separate evaluations. Of course, the insurance companies evaluate an individual home for its risks. They include tree trimming, location of combustible materials, the nearest fire hydrant, the nearest fire station, etc. Insurance companies also weigh the fire risk in an entire community. The single most important factor in determining a community's fire risk is the effectiveness of the fire department. If Pasadena fails to provide the resources to modernize our fire infrastructure and adopt new, more effective methods and technologies, that will send a clear signal to the insurance companies that we are not serious about reducing our high fire risk. Insurance companies can draw only one logical conclusion. Fire risk in Pasadena will remain high and only get higher. Higher risk means higher insurance costs and insurance cancellations. So the real question is not simply whether we pay more taxes. The question is whether we invest in our own fire department or risk paying more later through higher insurance bills with no improvement in public safety to show for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then Jackie English, followed by Ada Demizian, and then Chen Vu. And if you heard your name, please come forward. Go ahead.
Hi, y'all. My name's Jacqueline English, and I'm with the WPRA. I'd like to begin with a simple question. How lucky do you feel today? How lucky do you feel? I'm asking that is because our community faces several significant risks that require immediate attention. According to a report cited by the Los Angeles Times, the U.S. Geological Survey has warned of a substantial likelihood of a major earthquake in the Los Angeles region by 2045. If a major rupture occurs, particularly near Cajon Pass, the consequences could be devastating for communities throughout the region. We're talking 6.7 or above. 6.7 was the Northridge quake, okay? The Geological Survey is very worried right now about the San Andreas Fault. We cannot predict when that's going to happen. So we have to focus on preparedness. One of our most urgent needs is ensuring that our fire stations can withstand a major seismic event. Several stations, I think 2, have not yet been retrofitted for earthquake safety. If a significant earthquake were to occur before these improvements are completed, we risk losing critical facilities, emergency vehicles, and potentially the firefighters who serve our community. The longer we delay, the greater the risk. Whether the solution is constructing new facilities or strengthening existing ones, we need to begin the process immediately. Design, planning, and construction take years, and every year of delay leaves us vulnerable. Earthquakes are not our only concern. Lucky us. Our community is also surrounded by a high fire hazard area. Experts have warned that the extreme wind conditions experienced in early 2025 are not a one-off. Powerful Santa Ana winds
Miss English,
could...
your time has expired?
Pardon?
Your time has
I
expired?
thought there was going to be a bell.
I rang it.
I didn't hear it.
Sorry.
Can I finish my sentence? Okay. We need to reduce the fuel load in the Arroyo, retrofit or replace vulnerable fire stations as quickly as possible, and strengthen our fire response capabilities, install sirens and warn folks to evacuate, and invest in infrastructure before a disaster occurs, not after. Thank you.
Thank you. Ida Demajian, followed by Chen Vu, then David Kissinger, then Christian Miller, then Rafi Bajachian.
Good evening, Mayor Gordo, council members. My name is Ida Demajian. I have been a resident of the city of Pasadena for over 50 years, and I'm the current president-elect of the Pasadena Association of Realtors. I urge you not to put this parcel tax on the ballot. And the reason is, public safety is one of the most fundamental responsibilities of local government. Fire protection and emergency medical services benefit everyone who lives, works, shops, or visits our great city. They are not services used exclusively by property owners, yet this proposal places the financial burden primarily on homeowners, including many who are least able to absorb another recurring expense. Many of our senior citizens purchased their homes decades ago. They are asset-rich but income-limited, living on fixed retirement incomes that do not increase with inflation and rising taxes. They are already facing higher costs for insurance, utilities, healthcare, and everyday necessities. Another annual tax may seem modest on paper, but many seniors, it becomes one more bill that they must struggle to pay. Before asking homeowners to shoulder another tax, I encourage the city to explore many reasonable alternatives, including pursuing state and federal grants, improving operational efficiencies, strengthening economic development, and identifying new revenue resources that spread the cost more fairly among everyone who benefits from these essential services. We all agree that our firefighters and first responders deserve the resources they need. Believe me, I experienced that firsthand. My son's house burnt down in the Eaton fire. Okay? The question is whether homeowners, especially our seniors on fixed income, should bear a disproportionate share of that responsibility when these services protect the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ida.
Chen Vu, followed by David Kissinger, then Christian Miller.
Hello.
Sure.
Good evening, Pasadena council members. My name is Chin Yu. I'm part of the Pasadena Fire Department. I'm here as a member and as a loser in the Eaton fire. I want to advocate for this, for you guys to let the people decide if they should approve the tax. And I hope you guys do, because I don't want anybody to go through what I'm going through and continue to go through. And there's I think we're kind of a little late behind on this game because me as a survivor, it feels like people have moved on and it's the next thing. So hopefully we can get this out there and have the people decide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. David Kissinger, followed by Christian Miller, then Rafi Bajachian.
Sir, welcome. Welcome.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Gordo, members of the City Council. David Kissinger with the Pasadena Foothills Association of Realtors. Thank you for having this discussion tonight. Every first responder standing behind me in this room and in the department deserve to have the best resources available for protecting the community. This measure is not it, and I want to urge you to send it back. It needs more work, it needs more attention, more focus, and a better financial plan so that the financial backing for the department can be made available. So what's wrong with the proposal right now on the table? The cost is actually, so the voters in Pasadena have been asked a number of times since 2020 to pay a little bit extra on their property taxes, bringing the total cost, according to our calculations, of closer to $1,700. Over $1,700. For some families, that is as many as 1 to 2 months of groceries. The proposal as it stands now is unbalanced and it is unfair to property owners. The burden is almost entirely, we believe, on homeowners. While there is a provision for landlords and housing providers to pass it through to tenants, that is at best a Byzantine, complicated, and poorly documented process that a landlord would need to apply for again and again every single year forever, because this item does not have a sunset. We do not have faith, respectfully, in the Rental Housing Board to process these requests in good faith, and so it is a deep concern for us. What I want to again ask you to do is send it back, rework it, come up with a financial plan that works. At a minimum, provide something like a sunset date. Add for a more equitable and balanced pass-through. Make it apply equally to all residents and all businesses of the city. Come up with a better financial plan, something that doesn't necessarily need to go to the voters or to property taxes to make this plan work. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian Miller, followed by Rafi Bajachian, then Jesus Rojas, Claire Bryan, Adam Bray Ali, Christina Terrazas.
Welcome.
Hi, Mayor, Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I come here representing the city as a resident. I was born and raised here, born at Huntington Hospital, and as a Pasadena Fire Management president and a 21-year employee of the city. I wanted to address a couple of things. First of all, this is something that we've been known about for a long time. It's been part of our strategic plan for over 20 years. I found some old documents from the 90s that are addressing these concerns that we have right now. And I also recognize and appreciate that it's part of your top 5 priorities. So it's something that we need to address. Time is of the essence. If we had addressed it 15 years ago, it'd probably be half the cost. So every year that goes by, inflation and money just becomes more. I don't like paying a lot of taxes. Our citizens probably don't either, but they're willing to refurbish the library. I think they're going to be willing to refurbish and put money into public safety. The fire chief and the members behind us are responsible for evaluating risk. We evaluate risk for the lives and the citizens of Pasadena. We risk a life to save a life. We did that most recently at the Eaton incident. The members behind here, as I was responding in, as my family was evacuating, were texting me saying, where do I go? Well, we all came in, and that's what we want to do. We want to continue to come in to serve this community, and we can't do that if we don't have a sustainable future. This provides us with a sustainable future. It provides us with the ability to provide coverage to the city, and it allows us to respond when we have emergencies like the Eaton incident. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rafi.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I want to thank you for your time, and as always, I want to thank the community for all the love and support they give us every day. I would be remiss if I didn't say that every meeting. Look around you in this room. Every one of these firefighters that are here today represents one of your districts or works in one of your districts. Believe it or not, I know hopefully none of you have ever had to call 911, but this is our 911 call. This is our call to the community, and what we want to do is give them the opportunity to vote and give them the opportunity to help us be sustainable in the future. We want to leave this place better than we found it. Just like Christian said, coming up close to 20 years, and all we have been doing is talking about it, and we have not taken action. And I think the longer we take, the harder it is to be able to accomplish this. We've definitely kicked the can down the road far enough, And before I retire and I leave this place, I want to make sure that we leave it better than we found it for the future firefighters that are in the back room. Their safety is my priority. I know it's the priority of the community too, and we want to do the best we can, and we need to be able to be sustainable. And the chief has done an amazing plan putting this together, the capital improvement plan, to keep this place sustainable, grow, so that way we could lower our response times, get there faster, mitigate danger, and help everyone that's out there in their community. So please, again, let's have a unanimous vote, and let's get this measure on for November and keep this place sustainable and take care of our firefighters and their safety and their families. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you. Jesus Rojas, followed by Claire Bryan, then Adam Bray Ali, then Christina Terrazas, then Pete Kutzer.
Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jesus Rojas. I'm from the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles. AGLA understands and believes that the fire services are vital for the entire community and should be a top priority as a core city service. However, AGLA strongly opposes the parcel tax resolution as it is unfairly placed a financial burden solely onto property owners. Fire services are enjoyed by the entire community, including renters, residential and commercial workers, including non-residents, tourists, business, and social visitors. A sale tax, also known transactions and use tax, would be far more equitable and will face no opposition according to the city's finance committee report. If the need for additional funding is urgent, then the tax with the least objectives should be utilized to secure passage, which is a sales tax and not a parcel tax. This is a rushed resolution that uses the improper mechanism of a parcel tax instead of the proper mechanism of either a permanent or temporary sales tax, so that everyone, not just property owners who benefit from fire services, will pay their fair share. Once again, we urge the council to reject the parcel tax resolution and instead use a sales tax, either permanent or temporary. Instead, if the council moves forward with a parcel tax, we request that all multifamily properties be excluded from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire Bryan, followed by Adam Bray Ali, then Christina Terrazas, then.
Let me
Pete
say I
Kutzer.
have the deepest respect for our city firefighters and for those across the state and country that risk their lives to keep us safe. But let's be honest, this parcel tax is being promoted as including a comprehensive wildfire prevention plan. It does not. Less than 5% of the money is directed to wildfire prevention throughout the entire city. And that paltry amount is stretched to include litter control and work program development. Not a single dime is earmarked for the dire fire hazard presented by the Arroyo Seco, with its decades-old buildup of dead trees and ladder fuel. This $227 million plan misses the point. All fire experts agree that firefighters are basically helpless in putting down high, wind-driven wildfires until hundreds of thousands of people are dead and houses are burned. The best defense against a wildfire is vegetation management, clearing away the dead fuel that feeds the flames. The Arroyo Seco, with its steep slopes and north-south orientations, ready-made pile of kindling, where even a spark from a campfire can set off a conflagration. I don't know whether the fire department needs all the new equipment they're asking for. I'm not sure that a comprehensive citywide fire risk has been done and has analyzed how these new changes will affect things. But with respect to fire prevention in the Arroyo Seco, I do know this, it's urgent. I'm asking you to take immediate steps to address the dangerous accumulation of brush and vegetation. It's not a landscaping or maintenance issue, it's a wildfire safety issue. The city has recognized this in approving vegetation removal and goat grazing in the Arroyo Seco. Pasadena cited the CEQA exemption for actions necessary to prevent or mitigate a wildfire emergency, yet significant areas of the Arroyo remain heavily overgrown.
Ms. Bryan, your time has expired.
I didn't hear a bell. One paragraph. The city council is designated,
Ma'am,
you have the money.
We want to be fair to everyone, so if you could wrap
Fine,
up your
I'm
comments.
going to pass this out for you guys to show you. You can Royal right tonight.
Thank you. If you'll hand it to the Sergeant at Arms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and more importantly, the incredible men and women I see all around the room behind me. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. I really want to start by making one thing crystal clear. I strongly support our firefighters and the essential life-saving services they provide to our city every single day. However, I strongly oppose this parcel tax measure. The amount being discussed, the $22 million, represents less than 1.5% of the city's budget. Bringing this forward is a last minute, truly the last minute of this opportunity to put something on the tax measures, feels like a Hail Mary, designed and calculated to create division in our community rather than fostering smart, disciplined budget decisions. It is deeply discouraging to see the general fund priorities manipulated to create a false narrative, essentially making it appear as though the new tax is the only way to fund core services. Fire protection is a primary municipal responsibility. It should be prioritized directly within the general fund, not held out as an excuse for an additional tax. Beyond the process, the structure of this tax is really fundamentally flawed. It never ends. There's no sunset to guarantee long-term oversight or accountability. It is unfairly distributed. It places a heavy burden on residential income properties and commercial properties without recognizing that all community members benefit from the fire protection and should share in funding it. For housing providers, this burden is especially compounding. Between the rising rent stabilization department fees and this proposed tax, owners will face at least $500 per year in additional fees in voted debt since 2022 per unit. These costs cannot be passed through or accounted with under CPI rent increases. In short, this last-minute Hail Mary should be adjusted and or rejected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Terrazas, followed by Pete Kutzer.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Christina Terrazas, and I am a Pasadena firefighter. I've been with the city for 25 years, and I'm currently assigned at Station 37, which is one of the projects that would be put out on this measure to be enhanced and current to today's age. Ever since I've been here, a lot of these conversations have been part of our discussion, and we have not yet seen them fulfilled. I don't have much longer here, and I would also like to advocate for the future of our fire department and better serving the community in which we do every single day. All of these members, our brothers and sisters, answer the call phenomenally every single day, regardless of the circumstances and the things that are up for this measure. But we are asking for a unanimous vote and your support so that we can have the citizens of Pasadena go out and make this decision. And just as we care for them, we're asking that we give the opportunity to educate them and discuss this with them so that we can have a better city altogether that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kutzer.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the City Council and city staff. My name is Pete Kutzer, and our firm is an active investor and developer in Pasadena, primarily of commercial property. Thank you to the City Council and the staff for doing this difficult work of assessing the city's deferred maintenance and capital needs. This responsibility is as crucial for our long-term resilience as it is unglamorous. From what I've seen, however, in the current ballot measure, this tax as designed will not be successful. I have the following concerns. This tax does not sunset, it's perpetual. It's good practice to come back before the voters every 10 years or so to update them and renew the tax. This parcel tax is not a flat amount per parcel as traditional parcel taxes are, but it's assessed at 19 cents per buildable square foot. Therefore, it's designed to more heavily tax commercial buildings and apartment buildings. This parcel tax has no requirement for actually spending on the crucial capital projects that are the main reason for it, only that they be prioritized. The annual amount raised, approximately $22 million, appears to be about 30% of the current fire department budget. That's a big percentage, and so being more specific would behoove us all. The fire department's about 8% of the city's overall budget. And so I would ask, what are the expectations for future new taxes to help fund the capital and operating needs of the other 92% of city operations? As an example of the impact on businesses, I would highlight that virtually every tall office building on Lake Avenue has recently gone through foreclosure in the last year or will in the next couple of years. This represents about a 10% increase in property taxes for every business and apartment building in Pasadena. And that's a big increased burden with everything that's going on with inflation and spiking costs of insurance and utilities. The fire department is at the heart of our resiliency as a community, and our firefighters put their lives on the line for us. I would fully support
Mr.
a
Kutzer, your
flat
time
rate
has expired.
per parcel tax that sunsets. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And especially thank all of you.
Thank you.
That completes public comment on this item.
Okay, we've had previous discussions related to this matter. Are there any questions or requests for more information or comments from my colleagues? I'll start with Mr. Hampton, who is in the queue.
He had his hand raised, so I don't see it now.
Yes, yeah, no, I was in the queue. Madam City Attorney, do we need a vote for me to participate?
No.
No.
Just
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. All right, I appreciate all the public commenters and those that want us to clarify things. When this came out of finance originally, Mayor, I had mentioned that, there should be some sort of sunset, whether it be 10 years, 10 years, I don't know what the deadline would be, but having a parcel tax on the ballot, having a parcel tax on the ballot without any sunset doesn't give the opportunity for residents to re-vote it up. So I would be in support of this going on the ballot. Ultimately, it's really up to the voters. So I don't want to take away their opportunity if they believe that we need more fire services. I believe that we do. But I do think that there should be a census so we could have a check-in, for the next council. I probably will not be on the council when this sunset comes back up, but I do think that it's an opportunity for checks and balances. So I would be in favor of this with a 10-year sunset.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Mr. Masuda?
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate all the speakers that spoke today, and no matter what side you're on. But I wrote down the comments that, especially the people that supported the parcel tax, and they said to modernize our fire department and to reduce risk, better fire preparedness, don't have people divided on this, so we can respond to emergencies, and to respond better, and firefighters to get to the fire quicker. And I believe that, and I'm going to support having this on the ballot this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masuda. Ms. Rivas, followed by Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry. I have a question for Matt. We chatted a little bit earlier about this, kind of the philosophical different approaches to focusing on capital versus operating. I think the case for the capital improvements has been very clear for decades now. We got to rebuild 2 stations. We've got to build another station. We've got to build a training center. I think that the case, or for me, in my mind, I want to hear funding ongoing operating costs by this method. What are the alternatives? Why is this the best way to do it? Because in my conversation with residents, it's a very easy conversation to have about, these one-time capital expenditures. There's no other way to fund them. But the operating costs, aren't those things we should be figuring out how to fund in other ways and planning for decades down the road instead of just relying on this measure? So if you can shed any light on that.
Sure. I would say, as a couple of the firefighters noted earlier, that this has been part of the plan for quite a long time, and I would say that the city has been prioritizing fire improvements where we can. We recently added a 6th rescue ambulance to the response. We recently added a 2nd battalion chief shift for all 3 shifts. So we have been making incremental gains, but looking in the forecast of all of the other things that we need to make, we don't believe that we'll be able to achieve all of these within our current operating structure, in terms of the general fund being primarily property tax, sales tax, utility users tax growth. Most of those I mean, as you've heard for the last many, many years, we've been challenged with balancing the budget. And so the city we've had a parcel tax for the library for quite a long time. And yes, that's had a sunset, and the voters have approved extending that sunset for many years. But in working with the chief and the other parties involved, we believe that things like adding another truck unit, another fire suppression unit, opening up a 9th fire station, those are things that we're just not going to be able to absorb the operating costs within our existing revenue structure long term. And that's why we have been trying to maximize our return on billables for emergency response for our rescue ambulances. And I think the chief and the firefighters in the room, like, they've doubled that revenue, I think, in the last 6-7 years. And that's how we've afforded the 6 rescue ambulance and things like that. So we have been doing as much as we can, and we think we're at the point where our budget won't be able to support it under the status quo.
I appreciate that explanation. I'm also interested in having some sort of sunset or giving voters an opportunity to re-up or to continue on with the tax. Does staff have a position on the timing of that, though? I believe Councilmember Hampton mentioned 10 years. In your presentation, you mentioned that the current proposal would fund operational needs for 15 years. Is there a preference, or do you have a suggestion on the time frame for a sunset?
Sure. I mean, if the council did desire to put a sunset, this is why we offered up the model, which had the getting everything done within the first 10 years, and purposely looking at a pay-as-you-go method in case we couldn't issue 20 or 30-year debt. And so we do believe that we could achieve all the results within that 10-year window if the council so chose to put a 10 or 15-year sunset on it. That's why we built this model, is so that it could accommodate a sunset if the council wanted to go that route.
Okay, so the model could accommodate a 10 or 15-year sunset. And I'm assuming a 15-year sunset would be more preferable, give you more breathing room.
It would still go back to voters, right?
Right.
But rebuilding 2 fire stations and building a new fire station, we will work earnestly on that. But yeah, the extra years gives us a little more runway. But I mean, we believe we can do it in the 10 years as well, if that's what the council wants to do.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor. I'm supportive, but I would prefer a sunset to give voters the chance to revisit this in 10 or 15 years. I think I'd have a slight preference for 15, but open to both. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Mayor. 3 things. First, my appreciation to everyone who spoke. This is not the ideal way to make this decision. I think we could all acknowledge that. What is true is that there is a rush to put this on the ballot because we have a limited time frame. This will have to wait 2 years if we don't move tonight. What's not true is that this is new. Our fire chief, since he arrived here, has done an extraordinary job of really analyzing what the needs of a 21st century fire department for the city of Pasadena needs to be in order to protect every single one of the people in this room. And we have done the studies, we have done the analysis, and we have done the hard work of recognizing that it can't be accommodated within we're going to have a struggle to balance our budget, period, given all of the challenges facing cities with inflation. So a lot of work has gone into this, and that's why I'm prepared to support it. Like my colleagues, I think that a forever tax is understandably a concern to folks in the community, and all of us are concerned about the various taxes that have been piled on by the school district, by the community college, by us, by the county, and this is yet one more. So on the timing, could we issue 15-year finance? Certainly we have in the past.
Yeah, that's long enough that we could certainly issue debt on that kind of time frame.
So I'm more comfortable with a 15-year because I do think we want to accelerate that. I also believe, Mr. Mayor, and I'll make this as part of the motion, whoever ends up making the motion tonight, that we have actually a guarantee that we are going to seismically retrofit the 2 stations that are seismically unsound, and we are going to build a 9th station. I think to prioritize that, I understand why people are concerned. That is our priority. That should be our commitment to the voters, that if they are willing to make this investment, that they see the tangible results. And finally, this may not make a difference in how a person votes. It may make a difference in how people prioritize their finances, particularly people who we know out there will struggle. I am more comfortable with the original 17 cents we talked about. We talked about a range, 17 to I think 24 cents. 19 is a reasonable number in terms of financing all of the things we want to do. But I think the citizens who've raised concerns, and they're legitimate concerns tonight, about, well, what is the city doing? Where's the city prioritizing this? And you've made the point, which again, we need to make clear to the community, that we have found additional resources. The last 3 years running, we have added over and above the existing staffing and operations of the fire department. And we've done that through the budget process. But I think I would be more comfortable with the 17 cents. It's a small adjustment, but I think that puts us in a better position for us to make some hard decisions around this table, and that's what I think citizens are asking us to do.
Mr. Lyon?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank everyone who came out to speak. I've been talking all weekend about this and about the development in my neighborhood, back and forth, and have heard from a lot of people. But and heard a lot of what you had to say today. I'm particularly sensitive to Mr. Kutzer's comments about the burden on commercial buildings, which I hadn't really fully appreciated in the formulation of this tax. And South Lake is in my district, and we are still reeling from those bankruptcies. We are an expensive place to live. I say all the time, we're also an expensive place to do business, and we're gonna have to reckon with that. And all of that said, I am highly convinced of the need here. It, as people said very well today, it goes back many, many years. A few people have said, like, this is all sort of a rush to judgment after the Eaton fire. I think the Eaton fire just demonstrated for us the urgency of this work, but we knew certainly clearly before that this work was essential. I also appreciate all our firefighters coming out. Y'all, I hope we don't have a big fire tonight, because I'm worried about it. But thank you for being here. It's good to see all of you in one place. We don't get to do that very often. So the things I think we're all leaning toward putting this on the ballot, and I thought Rafi said very well, like, ultimately, this is a question for the people to decide, and we should let the people to decide. I think we do need to give it the best chance of passing. And what I heard all weekend were two things. One, it needs a sunset. To a person, every person said to me, I would feel much more comfortable if I knew it stopped. The second thing were variations on the theme of some guarantee that the money actually goes to what we say it's going to, whether that is citizen oversight or a firmer promise in the ballot language than we have. So that's my question to you. How do we shore up because certainly we have had measures in the past, whether at the county, I don't know if we have in this city, but certainly at the county and state level that didn't fund what we thought they were going to fund, right? So how do we meaningfully convince the public that these funds are going to go to these projects, and in 10 years or 15 years or whatever sunset we decide on, we're going to see these 2 stations rehabbed and a new station built?
Sure. In the big picture, this is a special tax. And so it doesn't go into the general fund. It's not part of the broader general fund. And the city, as mentioned earlier, had a library tax for many, many years, a parcel tax. And I'm not aware of us ever being challenged on whether or not we appropriately use the library tax for library purposes. So it is a special tax. It just can't get lumped into everything else that we do. The proposed language that would amend the municipal code does establish a baseline, so we can't just pull money out of the existing budget and supplant it with this money, because it establishes a baseline based on our current deployment and things like that. And then the other thing is, if the council wants to, there is the language, as you mentioned earlier, about capital improvement and capital improvement prioritization. I think that if the council would like, it says capital improvement. Currently, it says capital improvements for the fire department, including stations, training centers, fire headquarters, essential safety infrastructure, rescue ambulances, fire apparatus, and equipment. We can bolster that to specifically call out fire stations 33, 37, and a new fire station if the council would like to more firmly highlight what those are. And that would be in section 4.110.150, which is the purpose of it. We could bolster that section.
Okay. I would like to see some language firming it up. I think these are the things that I'm hearing, and I also would support a sunset. And with that, I'm supportive.
So before Mr. Jones.
You want to go? Or?
No, go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Thanks, Mayor, and then thanks to the firefighters that turned out here today, and also to our residents. You know, I first I want to say, like, I'm very supportive of our fire department. I also understand that the financial realities of our working class residents, every dollar counts towards medication, towards groceries, towards gas. And I'm not just speaking this, you know, obviously from my own experience, but from talking to the residents over these past few weeks since we started to initiate this discussion. With that said, I do think we need to move forward with supporting this ballot measure and place it on the ballot and let the voters decide. And I think ultimately, you know, we need to make sure that we retrofit our stations. We need to make sure that we have a new training facility for our fire department, have a new battalion chief. I think we approved one last year and then have a third one. And I would say that this has been around for quite some time, ever since I came on the city council. When I met with the chief, you know, after he asked me how much weight did I deadlift, he brought up he brought up the 10-year plan. He brought up his vision for the fire department. And I think we have a world-class fire department. And so that requires, you know, obviously world-class thinking, and it requires resources for us to keep our community safe. And I heard today, and I heard also these past couple weekends about sunsetting this parcel tax. So I'd be interested in evaluating the 15-year sunset. I'd be open to discussing a 10-year sunset as well. And also, as my colleague has said, a firmer promise to the voters on what this money will be used for. Just making sure that there's a guarantee that the money is going to be used to retrofit the stations. I don't know if I'd go as far as say Fire Station 33 and Fire Station 37, maybe just saying retrofit the fire stations. And also, I guess for the city manager, for the interim city manager, as he whispers to the finance director, can we spend this money on other items?
So in calling the election, there's a resolution. And in the resolution, there's a whole slew of whereases. And then there is the amendment to the municipal code. If it's not in that document, we can't spend money on it. And that document also provides the guardrails of what we can spend money on. And so while, for example, fire stations 33 and 37 aren't currently in the draft municipal code amendment, they are in the whereases. And in the whereases, it's very explicit. It says, including reconstruction of fire stations 33, 37, construction of an additional fire station, et cetera, the things that we've talked about. So if we want to put any more guardrails, it should be in that resolution document.
I see. Okay. And that's helpful. And then I did hear about the burden on commercial properties on lake. I mean, could you just opine on that, Matt?
I'm not sure what, I'm not going to disagree on the burden. The burden is on everyone.
Yeah.
We evaluated a number of options in approaching it, and the reality is we didn't believe there was any perfect model. We believed this was a good model to approach to do this, in trying to take an approach to fixed income and low income and size of properties and size of residences. Because while one person might say, well, you should do it on parcel type or parcel size, somebody else will come and say that's not fair because then the single family residential property of 25,000 or 40,000 square feet that lives on an acre pays the same as a bungalow that's 600 square feet or 800 square feet, right? So there is no perfect science. We believe that this is a fair and equitable way to apply it across the board. We understand that the commercial market is challenging right now. But that's the method that we went with. I don't have unfortunately, I don't have a magic answer that will make everybody feel exponentially better about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's helpful. So, I mean, I'm prepared to support it, and I'm also prepared to make the motion which would approve this to place on the ballot, but also to have a sunset of a 15-year or a reevaluation for the residents every 15 years, and then also provide the firmer language that you mentioned. Thank you, Mayor. We got
So a check-in.
a check-in. Yeah, I think a check-in to the council on year 15, perhaps, or
I think a
No,
sunset,
a
I think a
sunset.
sunset is going to be what people are going to ask for.
Yeah, so I think likely what would happen is if the council goes with the 15-year sunset and this is approved, it's probably prudent to have a check-in at year 9 or 10 to see, did we hit our 10-year plan?
Yeah.
And then you have 5 years to strategize, what's the next appropriate thing? Because maybe it's putting it to the voters at year 10. Maybe it's taking back to the voters in year 14. So I think that a check-in
with the council on year 10 with
yeah, or maybe it's year 8, right? But like, I mean, I imagine there's going to be a check-in every year with the council
Those
to
are
see
gonna
what
happen
progress that
regardless,
we're happening, right? But a 15-year sunset, I wouldn't, in my seat today, I wouldn't recommend waiting till year 15 to go, should we keep doing this or not, right? Like, we should be checking in every year to see, are
that
we
could
making...
be part of the motion to check in every year with the city council.
I believe there's some language that every year you have to.
That's correct.
Audit.
Yeah.
And so that would be, so
That would
if
be
we could
part
have
of
a
it.
public hearing on that
Yeah.
every year, that would give residents an opportunity to actually have the transparency and accountability that we're doing the right thing.
I'd be supportive of that.
So if your motion is a 15-year sunset, I second that.
Well, before we get to motions, let's go through everyone and give everyone an opportunity. Mr. Madison?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm supportive of the staff recommendation, and I'm concerned about some of the sort of hedges that I'm hearing about guarantees and sunsetting and the like. Let me ask staff, Matt, I mean, I agree with your earlier statement, but I just want to confirm it, that we haven't ever had a case where we haven't followed our promise in terms of special tax or assessment. I'm not recalling any. Are you?
No, not for a special tax. Yeah, that's the short answer. No, not regarding a special tax.
So the two words I've heard are guarantee and sunset. I'm not sure. Guarantee always makes me a little squeamish because there would be so many actions required by future city councils to actually execute and implement the plans, even for a rehab, which I have no doubt. We've already rehabbed numerous fire stations. I mean, our commitment on that is clear. These final two are more substantial because they require demo and rebuild. But like, what does that guarantee actually look like? Or is it just window dressing?
And I would, this is Michelle Bonarise, the city attorney. I would note that as the city manager, the interim city manager referenced, the proposed ordinance does specify, and I found some of the sections where there are limits, and it's limited to what it can be spent on in sections 4.110.140 and 4.110.150, and that sets forth the bases for spending the funds and the limitations set forth in the code.
So is it your assessment, Michelle, that those are guardrails?
Yes, I would say that's what they are in the ordinance in various places.
And then in terms of the sunset, Matt, could you help us? Is the idea that with a sunset in 15 years, the assessment would stop?
Well,
Absent another election by the community, the council putting it on the ballot for another round of expensive elections and a 2/3 requirement that it continue?
if there was a sunset, then yes, it would require to go back to voters for a renewal or an extension.
And you may want to look at.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Michelle
No,
again.
please.
You
No,
may
Steve.
want to look at the
I'm sorry.
time frames. I mean, 15 years from 1986, I don't know where that puts you in an election year cycle.
It really needs to be an even number, right?
So you should probably look at that if you're looking at those kinds of sunset timeframes, I would think.
Right, and so that's how I land on 10 or
10
14.
years. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I don't support a sunset because I think if a future council were in the position that we got all the work done and we'd satisfied ourselves that we had the fire department that we need in terms of the infrastructure and staffing. And remember, part of this proposal is for staffing. So if you're funding ongoing staffing needs, which is prudent and appropriate with this assessment, you'd really be facing a cliff that the city would be driving off of if it automatically sunsetted. And we'd either be looking at massive changes to our budget to be able to continue those operations or a reduction of service, which I don't think anybody would support. So I don't support either the quote unquote guarantee or the sunsetting. Obviously, if we were in a position where we could essentially walk this back, reduce the assessment, do whatever it took to terminate it, great. But I wouldn't want to tie our hands and have it automatically go away. I mean, let's take a reality check. At 19 cents, I remember, Matt, at the last meeting, you showed us what that would look like. And if I recall, it was $150, something like that for an average home in Pasadena.
First, you're looking at about $304.
Okay, thank you for that. So I also don't support reducing the amount that's in the recommendation because I think those pencils were pretty sharp when staff worked them up in terms of what the real costs are going to be. And of course, our experience is not that these costs tend to go down. They often go up. So I'd be nervous about reducing it and trying to do half a loaf. In terms of the commercial stakeholders, obviously, I'm gravely concerned about the number of vacant buildings that one sees as one drives around and what, in a post-COVID world, what office space and bricks and mortar retail, all of that, what it looks like. But I totally agree with the city manager that it's sort of like what Churchill said about democracy. It's the worst form of government possible, except that it's the best anybody's ever been able to come up with. And this too is the case that this, none of us likes putting an additional tax burden on our residents and property owners. But this is the fairest, most appropriate way to do it. We had many commercial establishments that were lost in the Eaton fire. Those businesses are going to be affected as well as our residents. Obviously, our residents are our primary concern, but the business community and our commercial fabric is right there. as well. So I think it's appropriate and fair. And so I'm prepared to support the staff recommendation. And if there's a motion, and I don't know that I heard the motion to be exactly that, but I would second that motion if that were the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. Yeah, you know, the issue of fairness is important, and for so many years, the way we tax residential property versus commercial property, in my view, hasn't been fair. And you know, I'm very sensitive to commercial property, but it's a fact that upon reassessment, commercial properties often are exempted to the higher tax rate. And so this is what I believe to be a fairer approach to development. Again, not being insensitive to the arguments that are being raised, and we'll have to double our efforts, and we have, on economic development, and we'll continue to do that. In terms of the need, you know, I'm not going to repeat what we all saw during the Eaton fire, because it was not only tragic, but you know, physically and emotionally scarring to this community. But I am concerned about not just fire. Certainly that's top of mind, but I'm concerned, and I think Jackie pointed it out, the earthquakes. You know, if we, you know, on the day we last discussed this matter, 2 days before that, the San Andreas Fault saw 2 earthquakes in very close proximity to our city. Each of them over 4.2, I believe. And, you know, that's a concern, because what we saw in the fire was not only that the fire can move swiftly, and assistance doesn't arrive as quickly. You know, we had to wait. We count often on mutual aid. And mutual aid is important, and it's, you know, we should continue that. But if we were to have a regional earthquake impacting more than just, you know, one geographic part of the valley, for example, the San Gabriel Valley, you know, mutual aid, I don't think we could rely upon like we do in an isolated incident in a couple of communities. Because fire departments, appropriately, not being critical, will be focused on their own community. They'll be focused on helping their own residents in an earthquake. And so we have to be prepared as to help our own residents in an earthquake situation before mutual aid arrives. You know, we're now seeing more development, particularly because of changes in state law. We're seeing more intense development in the downtown and soon in other outside of the downtown. And we have to be prepared to respond to all emergencies, including medical emergencies. You know, and what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, firefighters can't take an elevator upstairs. I'm sorry, up to second, third, fourth, fifth floor, sixth floor. They have to take the stairwell for safety, because they also want to make sure that they arrive to provide the assistance needed. And that's going to take more time, and it's going to be a bigger burden on our fire service. You know, in terms of investment, we have invested tremendously in our fire service and fire department, including, I would point out, what many cities don't provide, which is a 4-person response. We invested tremendously to ensure that when our fire department gets that call, whether it's commercial or residential, that we have the best staffed department and response to an individual call. And a lot of cities, including Los Angeles, don't have that. And, you know, we've invested in equipment, trucks, ambulances. And what we're saying to the voters is we want to continue to provide that service. You know, they've responded to calls in my family, and I've appreciated the assistance and friends, the assistance they've given my family and friends. So thank you to our firefighters and all those involved. And you know, in the end, what we're asking the voters to review is our record of service. And what we're asking them is to look at our plan for continuing that level of service and doing so safely for the people who we count on. Because remember, these fire stations aren't just housing fire trucks, they're housing people. Families and the people we will rely upon to come to our aid in an emergency. So I'm prepared to move forward with asking the people if in fact our record of service and our firefighters' record of service and the need to keep them safe so they can keep us safe is something they want to support. And I think that they will. It's not going to be easy because it is additional cost. You know, my family owns, we own a number of properties, and we're going to have to pay on all of those properties in Pasadena. But I think keeping our commitment to family, friends, residents, and visitors to Pasadena is important, and making sure that we're there when they need us is important. I don't want to look back and say, well, if we'd just done things differently, we could have helped more people or provided a better response in an earthquake, in a fire, or any other emergency. Thank you. Mr. Hampton, you're back in the queue.
Yeah, so I appreciate everyone's comments. I do, once again, we talked about this at the Finance Committee. I did think that a 10-year sunset would be most ideal. I think it gives the opportunity for the residents to vote on it again. I appreciate Councilman Madison's comments about not having a sunset. I would say that I don't yield to him at all. I mean, as far as a supporter of public safety, since I've been on the council, Councilman Madison has been one of the biggest supporters. He would give every dollar that we'd have to first responders if we could. So I appreciate his comments, but I do think that we need a 10-year sunset, and so I would make a motion for a 10-year sunset. That's the only way I'd be able to support this if we're looking for unanimous support. This is an uphill battle. The responses I've received from residents that were even affected by the Eden Fire, there's only 2 districts in the city that were affected by the Eden Fire. It was 1 in 4. And we were all affected, don't get me wrong. But I think as far as homes being lost, we're 1 in 4. And even those that lost their homes have sent me communications that were not favorable for the outcomes of this, at least within my district boundaries. So I think giving more assurances, as mentioned, the fire stations that are in dire need, 33 and 37, and also having a 9th fire station be identified somewhere, but definitely having a sunset would be of 10 years would be where I stand. And so that's the motion I'm making, and that's that. Thank you.
Did I get a second on my motion?
You did. So there was already a motion. So you're making a substitute motion.
The second on your motion was for 15 years, and I was going to call out that our elections don't happen in 15-year cycles. Or odd cycles, I'd say. They're on yeah, sorry.
So yours was 10 years?
10 years.
I mean, I'd like to hear what my colleagues have to say about it.
Mr. Cole?
I am very committed to the retrofit of the 2 fire stations that we worry reasonably would not withstand a major earthquake. I think that That is one of the reasons why I'm willing to move forward and not wait 2 years is, as Mr. Madison said, that there's a lot of pieces that go into that. But I think that we have no excuse to not initiate as quickly as possible the reconstruction of 2 fire stations that will be, as the mayor has just pointed out, will be critical to emergency response in the case of a major earthquake. So how would we make sure within a 10-year window that we could be able to finance those 2 stations? Would that mean postponing some of the other operational augmentations, or are there ways in which we could finance this or partially finance this through 10-year paper?
So I will start by saying, if that's the council's direction, we'll find a way to make it happen. The other thing I will say is that the outline that we provided earlier today front-loaded the training center. It might mean that the training center doesn't get front-loaded. One of the renovations gets front-loaded. We'll still have the challenge, and the fire chief is here. He may want to comment on it, but one of the conversations about it would be challenging to have 2 stations being rebuilt at the same time, but we'd work on that too. The other thing which this draft ordinance does provide is the city could advance funds that the tax could repay. So the city could advance funds if it wanted from reserves or somewhere else and get repaid from tax collections if the council did want to accelerate something faster than we could generate the revenue through pay-as-you-go. So I think there's enough opportunities in there that we could certainly shift those earlier in the priority if that's the council's direction.
Well, there was an amendment or a substitute motion offered by Mr. Hampton, which, so far as I know, has not gotten a second. We are colleagues around this table, and I respect everyone's view, and we don't have unanimity on every aspect of this. And so I think all of us will need to be flexible in some ways. I'm willing to be flexible to gain Mr. Hampton's support by going with a 10-year sunset, as we've heard. I also strongly believe, and would ask that it be incorporated into the motion, that we guarantee at least that we retrofit the 2 fire stations. I think that's a tangible commitment to the folks who live there 24 hours a day, and to the folks that would be served by those fire stations post an earthquake. And I will drop the 17 cents, recognizing that in 10 years we're going to have an opportunity to revisit this. Mr. Madison is right that we would face a cliff, but I think we need to prove to the citizens that this insurance is worthwhile, and we have 10 years to do it. We have 10 years to show that every single penny of this is augmenting what we already have. We have a fantastic fire department today, but in a hotter and drier climate, one where we have the ever-present risk of earthquake, one where inexorably medical response calls go up year after year after year. This is less than $1 a day for the average homeowner. It is an investment that I think we need to give them the opportunity. Not everybody buys insurance, but boy, we found out a year and a half ago what not having insurance is like. And this is insurance for all 140,000 people who live in our city. So with the permission of the person making the motion, those would be my points to include in the motion.
Yeah, I'd be willing to modify the sunset to 10 years to accommodate unanimity, as you've mentioned. What else did you say?
That we guarantee that we guarantee that we will retrofit the 2 fire stations that are seismically unsound today.
Yeah, I mean, but you're already saying that's already included in the resolution.
Yeah, if that, once we get ready, I can offer up some revisions to the language that further clarifies that, if that's what the council wants to hear.
The two stations are
Yeah.
in there, but it doesn't say that we're going to do it
Yeah.
within 10 years. And I think we should say we're going to do it in 10 years.
Are we able to do that within 10 years and do the training facility?
Yeah, that's the timeline is we've built in. We believe we can do all of the things incorporated in the plan within 10 years. But we can certainly highlight in the capital improvement proposed municipal code section, under the capital improvements, we can highlight including reconstruction of fire stations 33 and 37 within the first 10 years. As an additional statement within that broader statement. We can absolutely do that.
I'm willing to amend my motion to include those two things.
I would say if there's a sunset, it would just be before the sunset.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we head in this direction, I would work in there that the council, whoever's sitting around this dais in 5 years, start the work of assessing and evaluating how it's, we avoid that financial problem that occurs when this goes away. Because we are going to need equipment. We're going to need to up staffing for fire stations, particularly a new one. All of these issues, need to be worked on in advance so that an education campaign can be undertaken. And if the future council thinks they need to go to the voters, there'll be sufficient time to do that. And so at 5 years, if not before, no later than 5 years, I would say, the work has to start. Ms. Rivas?
Mayor, yeah, my comments are along similar lines. I just want to make sure we're considering all the logistics of the 10-year versus the 15 and the timing of our election. So if we're looking at 15 years and we want to put it to the voters to re-up or, continue it, we'd have to put it in back on the ballot 14 years from now. So we'd have a 1-year leeway. If we're looking at 10 years, we'd have to put on the ballot 8 years from now. So we'd have a 2-year leadway, but that, fewer time will have passed. We may not have completed projects. I don't know, I feel more comfortable with the 15-year timeline and going to the voters in year 14 than going to the voters in 8 years and then having it sunset in 10. I don't know, I guess I'm looking to staff, or there's any other timing considerations we should be looking at when it comes to elections and perhaps other considerations that we haven't brought up yet.
Sure. Well, I would say that although it would sunset in 10 years because it's a parcel tax, the council could still put it on the ballot in 10 years and it wouldn't sunset. It would still keep going if voters approved it. So it wouldn't have to go in year 8. It could go in year 10.
Okay.
Your election. Well, actually, no, year 10, that would be a non-year election. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, it's another consideration, wanting to time it to certain elections over others, potentially.
Right, and that's why we were looking at 10 or 14 were the two out years that made the most sense.
And I would hope, with the residents of Pasadena had invested tremendously, not just in infrastructure and services, and there's been a tremendous benefit to real estate and values of real estate in Pasadena. And I would hope that our friends at the Pasadena Realtors and Apartment Association owners understand we want to maintain that level of service and continue to ensure that, Pasadena is a safe and an attractive place for people to live, work, visit, and play. And so that's a part of why we're doing this. This is not something any of us want to do, but it really is a desperate need at this point. Mr. Lyon, and then Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Mayor. So I will echo the Vice Mayor. For me, the point of putting the sunset in the measure is first and foremost to give this thing the best shot of passing. But second, relatedly, to demonstrate to the public that This is not a grab. We're trying to do something very important and very specific. That said, I'm not sure that 10 years versus 15 years or whatever number we pick in between is materially different for the public. I think the point is having a sunset, is saying this stops, or you'll get a chance to look at this again no matter what. And I'm sensitive to Councilmember Madison's point that we want a little bit of runway on this thing, right? And it wouldn't be bad to have some operational dollars at the back end of this, even if we get it all done at the front, just for the transition into whatever comes next. So I want us to speak with one voice on this. I hope that we will be unanimous wherever we land. My preference would be for the longer sunset.
Mr. Madison?
Thank you, Mayor, very much. And I too am very concerned about a 10-year sunset. I don't love a 15-year sunset for all the reasons I've already stated, so I won't repeat myself, but especially if we're still contemplating operational budget as part of this, the use of this revenue, it would really be imprudent to have such a short termination date. And I mean, let's be clear, when we're talking about sunsetting, that means it's going to go away. And unless a future council goes through this entire process again, puts it on the ballot. And I had a question for staff on that, actually a couple. One is, presumably that would require also 2/3 majority at that point.
Yes, sir.
To pass. Yeah. So, again, we've talked about the challenges of an initiative like this when we have other jurisdictions adopting new taxes sort of left and right, and then taking funding away from us at the federal level currently. I think those are the reasons why I'd be happy to have check-ins or even guarantee that we would discuss agendizing and considering a termination of the assessment, but to require us to go through this all over again, especially if we're going to use the funds for operations. Again, for $300 an average parcel, it's a lot for a lot of families. I get that, but I don't think it's the best practice. Matt, in the limited work that we've been able to do, and I should just say that I too disagree that this has been a rush to judgment or what have you. We've been talking about this for a long time, and certainly after the Eaton fire, those conversations have intensified and increased. So I don't feel rushed at all, other than what Coach Wooden said: be quick but don't hurry. And in the work that we've done in terms of outreach, has this sunset thing been a topic that's moved the needle one way or the other?
It's a topic that we've wrestled with for sure. Staff landed on the proposal that didn't have a sunset, but we certainly recognize that the council had asked us prior to build a methodology that would work with a sunset, and that's why we approached the methodology that we did. So,
yeah. Well, just from where I sit, I would not have the sunset. I'd be fine with committing to have a discussion, set the agenda right now for a council meeting, 8, 10, 12 years, whenever it is, yearly. Even someone said, absolutely, we should be talking about this, and I expect we will. This isn't going to self-execute, right? We're going to have contracts year over year. We're going to have approvals of construction and the like. So this will be top of mind for all of us. And I am not concerned that the staff or this council is not going to keep its promise. And then just procedurally, I'm a little confused because I heard a motion that had a 15-year sunset. And Mr. Clerk, can you remind me who seconded that?
It was made by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cole, but then it was modified after Councilmember...
Well, hold on. No, but you're getting ahead of me.
Sure.
The next thing that happened was not a modification. There was then a
substitute motion. It did not have a second.
Mr. Hampton. I thought I heard Mr. Cole second that motion also, and I don't know
No,
if
he did
that's-
not. No. That was-
Okay.
That was
All
the
right, so that
substitute.
motion,
Sorry.
yeah, that motion then dies for lack of a second,
Correct.
the 10-year.
No, he had a substitute motion for 10-year. It did not get a second, but then
Okay.
council
No, no,
member.
but wait.
Okay.
Let's go baby
Sure.
steps. That motion died for lack of a second.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we're back to the original motion, and the maker then has amended that motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I would really
got it, sir.
urge us to, as I've heard some of my colleagues indicate, to not make that modification respectfully, but rather to keep the motion where it is. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to put us in the best position to be successful, and, you know, if we go down the route of a sunset, it has to be firmly rooted and stated, and I'm hearing 10, 15. I think if we're going to say to the voters that it is a sunset, it should be a hard sunset with a check-in and a commitment for us to work immediately at 5 years. The 10-year, I think, delivers that message with the 5-year check-in. I would prefer.
10-year, Mayor, or 15?
I would prefer not to have one, but I can see that a majority of the council is headed in that direction. So I just want to make sure that if we do it, that it's, it doesn't, that it feels real to the voters, and that our commitment to come back to them is real.
So is your point, you think the 10 is more persuasive than any other number?
I think it would be. I think otherwise it looks, but we have to follow it up with a real commitment to start the work at 5 years, if not before, not later than 5 years.
I have a strong preference for 14, but.
Same, or 15. I feel like we're gonna.
Yeah, 15 is
It's
fine.
such a
We
short
just go with
timeline
you.
to come back at 8 years. I worry that even if things are going well, it's just gonna be a harder case to make to the voters. I don't know.
Yeah, and I concur, Mayor, because also these projects won't happen overnight, and it may be the case that those who say that they're in favor of this, but actually aren't out in the community, that they would have an opportunity then to say, see, the work hasn't happened yet, and you shouldn't go down this road. Can I ask the city manager if that's the direction we're headed? Like, how much operational expense are we planning on funding?
Ultimately, we're funding two new rescue ambulances, a new fire suppression or fire engine, a new fire truck, and year-round weed and brush clearance abatement. Yeah, that's the truck. And then year-round brush abatement, weed abatement. Those are all operational costs that are ongoing. With the current financial model of 19 cents, essentially that I think it's in year 12 or 13, all of those dollars are going towards covering the operational cost because the capital would have been paid for if we did the pay-as-you-go plan. And then that would essentially be what the need is for all the operating costs 12 years or so down the road, depending on inflationary pressures and everything else, of course.
But really, we'd be essentially calling a referendum in 10 years as to whether we wanted to continue those enhanced services, and the capital work would be done, is at least a plan.
I think that's probably the conversation in any sunset. And the other thing I want to point out, I can hear the chief reminding me in my ear, even though he's not really, is this is a 10-year capital plan. In year 12 or 15, there are going to be other stations that are going to need to be remodeled, or there are going to be other apparatus, or fire suppression is going to look different in 12 years, or we don't know what will happen. This is our 10-year capital plan and then staffing plan going forward. But with any good plan, we will revisit that plan and create a new plan.
Okay.
So, Mayor, I just want to chime in that I too would be more comfortable with, let's say, a 14-year, quote unquote, sunset. Again, it's really problematic to anticipate this amount of operational expense and take that on. We're talking, and I know we talked about trucks and ambulances, but what the city manager was just describing is the men and women, the firefighters who are going to be staffing those initiatives. And it's not prudent to commit to the community that we're going to be adding that level of service, which we should do, but also say that the funding is going to go away for it in 10 years, absent another expensive, time-consuming election where we'd go back to the voters. But I've said my piece about that. I think 14 years is much more preferable. And could I just inquire the maker, would you accept a friendly amendment to 14 years?
Yeah, I would accept 14 years if that's what my colleagues want. But it also sounded like there wasn't a clear plan if the voters did turn this down after 10 or 14 years. And that's a concern as well, because if there's operational costs that we're going to be reliant on the, what is it, 22 million, or what is the?
By year 12, you're at over 22 million, so it's closer to 25 million.
Mm-hmm.
By year 15 of those operational costs with all the capital already funded.
Does the council have the authority to, I guess, stop the tax, or you have to go back to the voters?
No, I'll look to the city attorney, but as far as I know, the council could always assess a lower tax, but you can't go back up once you lower the tax.
Right.
So the council could terminate the tax or lower the tax,
And that would end it.
but that would end it.
Yeah.
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 Could I just inquire if the second would also support the friendly amendment to 14 years?
I think we need more discussion on the sunset, to be honest.
So I'm in the queue. I've been asked
Mr.
by
Cole?
one of my
Yes.
colleagues what my position is. I'd like to be heard.
Mr. Cole?
So my colleague quoted Coach Wooden. I will do the same, which is don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. For all of the people who came out here tonight, they're probably wondering, why are we fixated on this one point, right? For those who think that this is an absolutely urgent need, why would we put a sunset on it? We're going to need this ongoing. And for those who are skeptical of it, even though a few said if you're going to go forward, at least put a sunset on it, this all seems like a very small concession to their concerns. So I want to take a step back. When I was mayor, the library director came to the city council asking for the entire library budget to be taken off the books, because in order to protect police and fire during the recession of the early 90s, we severely cut the library, as we did all other departments besides police and fire, and we were at the point of having to close a library. And one of the things that's been a hallmark of our community is that every child is within 1 mile of a branch library. And what library would you close? Which neighborhood didn't deserve a library? That was the issue. So Ed Zanaka, who was library director, said, let's just take the library out. But that would have required a $12 million tax. And I just felt that was never going to pass. And so he's never forgiven me. But in order to pass the library parcel tax, I made the motion that we simply restore the funding that we had cut, which was about $3.5 million at the time. And we got 82% of the vote. And so I repeat, let's not make the perfect be the enemy of the good. I agree with Mr. Lyon. I think without a sunset, getting to 2/3 is going to be extraordinarily difficult. And so if we're talking about $22 million or zero, I much prefer $22 million. The perfect is we have, you know, everything that we think we want. But the voters have it within their power to give us nothing. That's entirely within their authority. In fact, it's only 1/3 of the people have to decide that. And this thing goes down in, I was about to say flames. So I think that's, and I would like to see us be unanimous. So before answering the question about 10 or 15, I would point out that the library tax was a 15-year sunset, and the voters have twice re-upped it because they saw that our library provides an extraordinarily valuable service to every neighborhood. And I think if we spend this money to augment our fire service, to retrofit 2 fire stations, and to deliver better service to our community, I have no doubt that the voters will continue to support this in the future as they have with the library. I can live with 10 years, I can live with 14 years, I can live with 15 years. I would like to have a unanimous vote. So I'd ask Mr. Hampton, who has made clear up until this point that his support for this is contingent on a 10-year sunset, whether he would be comfortable in the spirit of getting us to unanimity of either a 14 or 15-year sunset.
I appreciate that, and I think the discussion is an important one. I am firm in the 10 years. I think that what we're asking of our residents at this time when everything is the most expensive, to say, you know, we're going to do it for 15 years. 15 years is an eternity. 10 years is more palatable. And so I think, you know, asking the voters again in 10 years or 8 years, if they want to continue this, after we show our work, is the most, or in my opinion, the best way to go about it. And I think a 10-year, I also think, you know, just psychologically, 10 versus 15 or 14, for anyone who's voting on this, that reads it's going to be 14 years or 15 years. 10 years is just more palatable. So I want to see it pass. I would like to see this on the ballot. It's a need. It's a need that we've been talking about for years now. So I appreciate my colleagues for having this long discussion and dialogue on this. But 10 years is where I'm at. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Mayor, just a point of order, am I hearing then that in that light, Mr. Cole does not accept the friendly amendment?
Hold on.
Wait, Mr. Mayor, it's a point of order. Do we have agreement from the second to my friendly amendment?
I don't think that's an appropriate point of order, Mr. Madison. I'll answer in due time.
That's your opinion, but I'd like an answer to my question, please.
Hold on one second, Mr. Madison. The city manager has a response that he'd like to give.
So when we were talking about, when Councilmember Cole brought up the 15-year of the library and the importance of that, I was just asked to pull up the library tax. The library tax from now needs to be renewed in 10 years. So, not saying right or wrong, I'm just saying there's a recognition that if it's a 10-year sunset, both taxes would potentially have to be on the same ballot.
Which is, for me, convincing that, you know, we don't want this to pit libraries against our fire service and fire department. And so I'm prepared to support the 14.
I'm prepared to support the 14, and I would bring up that, you know, although we want a unanimous vote, it's obviously not required, and we didn't have one for the library just 2 years ago. So I think
That
we'll
is
be
correct.
Yeah. So I'm prepared to amend my motion to 14 years.
Prepared to support that change.
Okay. Mr. Masuda?
Mayor, I'm prepared to support the 14-year. Thank you.
Okay.
Call a question?
So let's call the roll.
So the motion is to approve the staff recommendation with a 14-year sunset and to guarantee seismic retrofits for the 2 fire stations. Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton?
Abstain.
Abstain. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
Motion is approved, 7 in favor, 1 abstention.
So if it's okay, I would just like to clarify for the council that the ballot language that's in your staff report will be revised because it currently says until ended by voters. Those 4 words will be replaced with expiring after 14 years.
And that is found,
And that's in the question.
the question as
And then
well.
we will add section 4.110.240, which is the sunset provision. And that will say the special parcel tax established by this ordinance shall automatically expire 14 years after its effective date unless extended by a subsequent ordinance approved by the voters of the city of Pasadena. Upon expiration, no further taxes shall be levied pursuant to this chapter, and any remaining funds shall be used exclusively for the purposes authorized herein until expended.
And I would suggest, I know you don't like this, but we should read the question as amended.
Sure,
into
I can
the
do that.
record.
The title, City of Pasadena 911 Firefighter Paramedic Emergency Medical Wildfire Preparedness Response Measure. City of Pasadena 911 Firefighter Paramedic Emergency Medical Wildfire Preparedness Response Measure to help maintain fire, paramedic, 911 response, prepare for, respond to wildfires, earthquakes, medical emergencies, recruit, retain well-trained firefighters, maintain life-saving equipment, fire alert communication. Shall City of Pasadena's measure annually levy 19 cents per square foot of improved property with low-income senior exemption, providing approximately $22,100,000 annually, expiring after 14 years, requiring accountability, independent audits, oversight, public spending disclosure. All funds must be used to support local fire protection, emergency medical response services be adopted.
Okay. With that, I think that completes this matter, and the plane has landed.
Now
Sorry.
everyone has to go out and campaign for it.
Yeah, tonight. Start knocking on doors.
And sorry for the turbulence, but. Okay, we'll allow those who want to stay, and those who do not to. Thank you for your participation. Okay, now we will entertain a,
Actually, Mayor, what? Do you want? Mayor, do you want, did you want to do public comment on matters not on the agenda? We have 2 cards. Mayor.
yeah,
We have 2 public comment cards for matters not on the agenda. Caleb Kadama, followed by Heather Kadama. Are you here? Go ahead. Ms. Kodama, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Good
how are you
evening.
doing?
My name is Heather Kodama, and I'm proud to be a lifelong Pasadenan and an Altadena resident. I attended Firehouse Preschool, Burbank Elementary, Noe's Elementary, Elliott Middle School, and John Muir High School. For more than 30 years, I volunteered with Pasadena Unified School District and spent 10 years decorating Tournament of Roses floats, and currently serve as the Vice President of Rose Bowl Writers. My husband is the former principal of Pasadena High School, and our son proudly graduated from Pasadena High School in 2026. Horses have been part of my life since I was 5 years old. Years later, when my son was 9, he discovered horseback riding through Rose Bowl Riders' Art of the Horse program. That city-supported program introduced primary Title I students to horses through the art hands-on learning and equestrian demonstrations. For many children, it was their first experience with animals, nature, and the outdoors. More recently, Rose Bowl Riders and Myrtle Hill Farm have continued serving our community by hosting programs for Pasadena after-school youth and 5 Acres. Our members volunteer countless hours because we are deeply committed not only to preserving these programs, but to expanding affordable public access so more Pasadena families, especially our children, can experience the lifelong lessons horses teach: responsibility, commitment, discipline, confidence, compassion, and the value of the community. The mission is especially meaningful to me personally. As a child, my own family experienced homelessness for nearly 3 years. During that difficult period, a local barn gave me the opportunity to become a working student. That experience provided stability, purpose, responsibility, hope during one of the hardest times of my life.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
I've got one little sentence.
Okay, go ahead and wrap it up.
As Rose Bowl Riders approaches its 80th year in Hahamunga Watershed Park, I respectfully ask the City Council to continue supporting these valuable community partnerships with Myrtle Hill Farm. And local schools face increasing fiscal challenges in coming years.
Ma'am.
Programs like mine may
Thank you.
become even more important for Pasadena
Ma'am,
youth.
thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're having our 80th anniversary in
Ma'am,
October. I
ma'am,
hope you
now
guys
now
can come.
you're.
Thank you.
Caleb?
Okay.
Kodama?
2 minutes.
I feel like half my points got said by my dear mom there, but
1 minute.
hi. As you guys know, my name is Caleb Kodama. I graduated Pasadena High School. Don't worry, I like Mir too, for those of you out there. And you know, in a couple of very short weeks, I'm going to be starting to study bioengineering at University of California, Riverside. Now, as she said, I started going to Rose Bowl Riders when I was 9. Pretty cool, I thought at the time, and that was from Rose Bowl Riders' Art of the Horse program. You know, one day, one field trip turned into multiple years and of lifelong commitment to the program. The thing for Rose Bowl Riders with me is it helped shape fundamentally who I am today, and I think it is a valuable tool in doing that for the youth of today as well. You know, for me, growing up wasn't always easy. I faced social struggles, got bullied, but you don't want to hear about that right now. We got 2 minutes, right? But the thing is at this barn, I found something that I couldn't find anywhere else. I found community, and I was guaranteed lessons by that community. I learned confidence, organization, responsibility, perseverance. I mean, hey, horses don't judge you, right? They ask you to be patient, consistent, and keep trying. And those lessons have carried over to every part of my life. I mean, except for those couple seconds of airtime I get whenever I'm bucked off. But during COVID, when so many activities came to a stop, and the same thing for and during, the Eden fires, the community offered by Rose Bowl Riders and the Myrtle Hill Farm Lesson Program provided so much support for me. The lessons I've gained from riding, from the barn, from the community, has given me, frankly, invaluable experience in building my character that has helped me persevere through volunteering, school, the fires, and now college. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that we can continue to support Myrtle Hill Farm and RBR.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
That completes public comment on matters not on the agenda. We have the consent calendar now.
Okay, is there a motion on the consent calendar? Sweet motion? The only one I'll accept. So there's a sweet motion and a second.
Roll call.
Roll call?
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
The motion is, and the consent calendar is approved unanimously. And we have second reading of an ordinance. This is an ordinance offered by Councilmember Cole. It's an ordinance of the City of Pasadena repealing ordinance numbers 7455 and 7457, prohibiting urban lot splits and construction of multiple dwellings pursuant to Senate Bill 9 in very high fire hazard severity zones within the boundary of the Eaton Fire. To adopt, Councilmember Cole?
Yes, and I'd like to make an explanation afterwards.
Councilmember Hampton?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted unanimously.
Mr. Cole, explain yourself.
So I supported originally a version of this ordinance. I asked for one that was more restrictive. In the end, we passed this ordinance as an emergency ordinance, recognizing that it would not be on there forever. It should be noted because people have asked, well, wait a minute, are you suddenly opening the floodgates to high-density development in high-fire danger areas? We are not. And we should also be clear that we were sued on this, and we would have lost the lawsuit. And so I think that people need to understand that that context for the decision that the council is making tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Okay, that completes our agenda. Good morning, Mr. Madison. Oh, he's gone? Oh, he's there, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.